Call the meeting to order, call the roll.
Trustee Healy.
Here.
Trustee Casinas.
Here.
Trustee Milani.
Here.
Trustee Campos.
Here.
Trustee Reardon. Trustee Radiszewski.
Here.
Mayor Pekow.
Here. And Trustee Reardon apologizes, he just got back from Europe, so he's a little bit overwhelmed with the stuff he has to get done at work.
Rise to say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, thank you.
Any non-scheduled citizens and visitors for agenda-specific public comment?
So it doesn't look there's anybody here to speak. I will comment, it's interesting that we have all these people complaining about our budget and our TIF and everything else for political attacks, and none of them have the courage to show here and actually ask a question in public. So I find that interesting. Go ahead.
Fiscal year 2025 budget workshop.
So we're getting ready to get started, and you guys have a presentation, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and it's not as long as last year, correct?
That is correct also.
Perfect.
So good evening. The purpose of this workshop is to present at a high level the draft budget for 2025. Chris and I will begin this presentation, and then each department director will have an opportunity to review their accomplishments for the current year and highlights for the upcoming budget. Please feel free to ask us questions at any point during this presentation. Before I go any further, I want to acknowledge staff for their hard work, our finance team, many of which are here in attendance, as well as all the department directors and literally dozens of other individuals in the departments that help put this budget together. So it's without their hard work, we definitely wouldn't be here today. So I thank them for that effort. So if you could.
I will say thank you for your hard work and effort. I know I've been through everything by line item with you. I did go through the update by line item as well. I have a handful of things. I'm not going to go into them tonight, but after this, we can talk about them and see if there's little tweaks, over the next couple weeks. Not the priority. We know what the priority is over the next couple weeks. So.
Very good, thank you. So at a very high level, what we're proposing is a balanced budget, and this is a budget that is within our the parameters of our village financial policies. It continues our commitment to public safety and to providing the necessary infrastructure to preserve the quality of life of the residents and businesses within the village. Next, Chris will begin to explain the budget in terms of general revenues and expenditures.
Thank you, Mayor Board. I just wanted to, just as Jim had started out, I wanted to recognize my own team who are here tonight. I have Brandy Watson sitting in the front there. And then I also have Joanna Ketterman and Stacy Schonecker in the back. And then also new to our team is Teresa O'Carroll. And she's been with us for a few months, a few weeks now, and has already made a big impact. So feels like she's been here forever already. So she's fitting right in. So I appreciate my team and wanted them to be recognized tonight. So we start out with the use of fund balance. The village retains fund balance to help manage cash flows throughout the year due to collection of some revenue sources. Sometimes there's some delays, such as property taxes, being inconsistent throughout the year. So, as I said, fund balance also helps weather shortfalls in revenue. The village's fund balance policy requires 20% of the general fund balance. So we always keep that as we monitor how much we're spending versus how much we're taking in. So, next page. Here you see a chart of expenditures, just jumping right into the village-wide expenditures. The general fund expenditures are planned to increase from 24 to 25. Comparing to 24 budget, the general fund Expenditures are expected to increase in total about 3%, and recreation up to about 9%. General fund revenue. General fund is looking like an increase of 1%. Recreation increasing revenues by 5.4%. And I just want to make a note, we did go, I believe 2024 was our first year collecting utility taxes. So we are already projected to be about over, what's that thing? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. We're projected to make about $366,000 over what we had budgeted for utility revenues. So that's a positive. Next slide is about our property tax levy. Just kind of sharing this with the board. The overall property tax has decreased from 22 to 23. Last year, we lowered it by about $500,000, and that equated to about 6.19% tax reduction. With the intent to keep this tax levy consistent going forward until, but I expect further discussions regarding the 24 tax levy next month when I present the board with the official tax proposal.
So one thing that would be helpful on this, and I've talked to Jim about this already, there wasn't enough time to turn this around, but it'd be good to have on this page what the actual levy from the board was, so that people are not confused. Ultimately, we levy a fixed amount, but there's all kinds of calculations that go on and adjustments that go on based on credits and all of that. And so what you're seeing here is the actual levy in 22 and 21. That's what we were given from Cook County, not necessarily what we reflected in what we levied. So whereas 2024 is actually what we levied. So
Correct.
just be good to show that so people can see what we've actually levied as part of our budget versus what we've ended up getting because of credits and all that other stuff.
Correct, yes. So following a preliminary budget review with the mayor a couple of weeks ago, a few changes were made, including the reprioritization of reduction or delay some expenditures to reduce 2025 expenditures. So we may have pushed some off to the future years. And all these adjustments equated to a reduction of the budget of $2.1 million. You see before you a list of a lot of the larger adjustments we made. Next. That update again. This year's budget is a continuation of our original debt plan from the 23 financial plan. It involves borrowing for capital projects. This year's 2025 budget includes $12.3 million for capital spending. The 2023 financial plan had scheduled to issue bonds in 2024. We've decided to push those off to next year. So you'll see up there, there's a rollover. So what we planned for 2024 will be in addition to what we were on schedule for next year in 2025.
And I think something important to note here is that we did a 5-year capital plan, which included some debt for some long-term projects that we were doing. The reason that we did not borrow this was because we see an interest decreasing environment, which I think we all see, to pay attention to it. And we didn't need the funds yet, so we felt that holding off would be more fiscally responsible. So you see a bigger amount next year, which also will result in a better rate if we do it. And the administrative fees will be less because you're doing it once rather than twice. So for all those reasons, that's why we held off on doing that.
Yes, thank you.
Next, we're looking at the capital projects. So as you know, capital projects is one of the two main components of the budget, the other being operating, of course. So what we're going to see here is a display of the anticipated funding sources as well as, which are the funding plan for all of our street, utility, park, and other infrastructure projects. So So Chris is going to go into greater detail on what we plan on accomplishing in 2025.
So this is a breakdown analysis from, based on our 2023 five-year plan, where we stand today. There's been some changes as, you know, things come up, things change, ideas change, we don't foresee everything in the future, so we have some new initiatives. That's a very small piece of this entire spending for 2025. We have a lot of them, about $20 million that are on track, just as the five-year plan had indicated. And then a lot of $21 million, almost $22 million is rollover. So those are just projects that we started already on track, on time, and we just haven't either gotten the invoices yet, or we are just about wrapping up those projects. So it looks like a big spending plan this year, but it's all relative to, you know, we saved in '24 and rolling it over. Yes, so that is for the two video screens.
Okay, so that's good to know. It's, just so you know, the video screens is also in your expenditure budget, so you probably want to, if you need to, you just want to check that.
Okay,
So, because I noted that as I was going through stuff, so, perfect.
Okay, yeah, so that's that one. And I guess we'll move on to our departments, and I'll pass it on to Vince here for the communications and marketing.
Perfect. Hello, Village Board. Communications and Marketing is very excited for 2025. We had an excellent year in 2024. I could not do it without the help of my awesome team, Christopher Gear and Kelsey Wyvoda. Looking into the highlights of 2024, all of our major social media channels increased in follower count. Especially our Facebook increasing by over 3,000, which is incredible. Our YouTube views as well have gone up over 10,000 views. So that means we're producing more quality content, more eye-catching content to help spread information and market various village events and other things. In the year 2023, we did only do 6 publications, so this year we did manage to raise it to 7, with the intent of being back on schedule and doing a full 8 for 2025. Some other highlights, all of our videos are done 100% in-house. That's everything from event promotions, informational, animation, motion graphics, live streams. We have a goal of doing a little bit more narrative-driven content as well. We've been working with some behind the scenes of different village facilities and other things like that. And we are saving an additional $15,000 cutting professional vendor or video vendor videography, excuse me. For our e-newsletters, over 60 GovDelivery emails to date for 2024. So that just increases our communication to residents as well. And subscribers for those GovDelivery emails have increased by over 2,000. On those GovDelivery emails, you do have the option of subscribing to different kinds of subscriptions if you're interested in all village events, specifically recreation, different things like that. So a combined total of changes for subscriptions was over 27,000 in 2024. Media communications, we had over 39 press releases distributed this year to local, state, and national audiences. And we were able to create multiple design drafts for the new Centennial Park West 3D sign, as well as the final draft. And the sign is fully built and right outside Centennial Park West now.
And Vince, go back a page there real quick.
Of course.
So I just want to let you know that I forwarded 3 videos that you did to the clerk, and he said very, very well done and very informational.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Well, we're always aiming to improve.
I wanted to know who did the production. He gave all credit to you.
That was the whole team, all in-house.
So great work on that, and I know you talked about the behind the scenes. When's the next one coming out?
It will come out as early as tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Looking forward to 2025. So next slide. Oh, you got it. So as I mentioned earlier, we are increasing our publications to 8, so that'll be 3 senior newsletters, 3 resident newsletters, the budget in brief, which is right now on schedule to be on time for a early February release instead of over the summer this previous year, and the police annual report. We're always looking to improve communication to residents, businesses, media, and visitors. We have a new resident guide. We are in communication with development services about possibly making a new business guide for information for new businesses that come to Orland Park. Additional saving of cutting $10,000 of our outsourced design services because that's just more things we do in-house, so we are already paying for it. And reduction in miscommunication and incorrect messaging. We'd like to return to recording and producing employee engagement and training videos. We're currently working on a couple right now. As well as, it's still a dream of ours to officially start an Orland Park podcast, which would come at no additional cost. And with that, I will open up to any questions you have.
There we go. Hello. Yeah. Yes.
Pull your microphone closer.
And
'cause
and
you're
have it on. That would be helpful. We are coming off a pretty busy year. Our permit activity is up very, very significantly, mostly because of our storm that we had in May. We are just starting to wind down staffing on that. We are still taking in quite a number of permits every single day. Those numbers will speak for themselves. My staff has been absolutely incredible for almost half the year, spending a lot of extra time getting through this. So that was pretty incredible. And keeping up, we are now, as of today, our roof permits and the rest of our permits we're in 8 days from submittal that we're processing them. So we're getting caught back up again. We still have a lot we have to get through the reviews, and then a lot of inspections are going to need to happen. But so that's been quite a bit of our time this year. The other big thing that happened.
Do you know how many inspections we've done relative to roof permits versus roof inspections? Do you have that?
I don't have it on me, but I looked it up recently.
Okay,
I'll
I was
have
just
to get that
curious.
to you,
It would be
yeah.
good to know because, we always get these comments that the village has slowed up our roof.
That's total. Yeah.
When in reality, they're blaming the village for slowing up their roof, but they can't get to the roofs either. There's just not enough people to do that many roofs that fast.
Yeah, I mean, the total number of inspections is now over 10,000. Now, sometimes that includes multiple inspections. That isn't just the roofs, but yeah,
And, just for the public, a little over a year ago, I was in Denver visiting my son, and his town got hit with a tornado. And it was on the ground for, like a mile. Anyways, he had a roof issue, but it wasn't an emergency roof issue, but he had to get his roof replaced. He just got it replaced 15 months later, and they don't have nearly as many, and it's a town of 120,000 people, it doesn't have nearly as many roofs that we have for this hailstorm. So you got to put it in perspective and just realize the roofing companies can't get to it either. So if your roof isn't leaking, that's, and anything that was leaking, we prioritized. And there were very few of those, so people should know that. And we definitely rolled a lot of staff over. I want to thank all the rest of the staff for pitching in and helping.
and all the other departments, and
I wanna
including some
thank,
of you up there. Yeah.
Trustee Compass for doing a bunch as well and figuring out a way to streamline the process too. So there's a lot of people that pitched in to get that done and get caught up. So thank you to everybody. And thank you to your staff for all the extra work they put in doing that.
So we're jumping out of that frying pan into another frying pan, which is now we're doing all of our testing on the new licensing and permitting system. So our staff is now every single day working with the Tyler people to make sure that the programming is done properly, so that we will hopefully be switching that system on early in the year. We have completed all the entitlements for downtown Orland Park, which is a many-year project, which we're finally now done with the entitlements piece. So that was a long-awaited positive thing that we should be looking to see come out of the ground next year. And then we finished our restructuring, which we talked about last year, streamlining our processes, making sure we were right staffed. Okay. It's just a list of projects that were completed this year and ones that are under construction. If anyone has any questions about these, you've all approved almost all of these, so you don't need to go into them in detail. And next year, again, turning on Tyler and then working through the kinks is going to be the first quarter probably of our time. We are going to start an update of the comprehensive plan next year. We've decided to do that in-house. We've already brought some ideas forward about how we're going to do that and outreach and process and what we're going to update. We're going to continue to work on land development code updates based off of the outcome of the comp plan and look at our economic development programs and see where we're going to be headed moving forward. Just to review them, it's good to look at them every few years. And that's all I have, so if you have any questions.
I think it's important to note the comprehensive plan, we've been, with COVID and everything, it's been delayed. We've been obviously putting out fires for COVID, and then also all of the 5 anchors, we lost all of that kind of stuff. And the good news is here in Orland, we have people come to us, which changes our perspective. Other towns are out there being more proactive. People come to us, so we just have to be prepared to answer the questions to get them here. But the comprehensive plan is important, and interestingly, when I got here, someone handed me a comprehensive plan from like 1973 when my dad was on the village board. And some of the planning they did that was important, and this is why it's important for us, is that they planned that that LaGrange would be our retail corridor. They also planned that that any kind of industrial would be down 104th Avenue. So some things, of course, it's not exactly what they had planned, but some of that planning was very critical to make sure that we're laid out the way we are today. And having that corridor on LaGrange Road is really critical, because if you've been to some other towns that are big, there's traffic problems everywhere because they have business everywhere. In our case, it's mostly down LaGrange, it's mostly down 159th, and we as residents can work around all of that and avoid the traffic issues that are associated with that when we live our daily lives, just going to parks and that kind of stuff, which is very good, because there's other towns where you cannot do that. And you certainly can't here because of the previous planning, and that planning goes back 50 years. Any other questions for Development Services? Great, well, thank you guys, and thank you for the permit crunch. I know it was a lot. I know we dealt with a lot of phone calls, and thanks to the staff members that basically took over the phone calls and all of the angry residents, so that you could actually process permits rather than answer phone calls.
And that was a huge help for us to be able to focus.
So thanks to everybody, and thanks to your staff for the extra time they put in and overtime to get this stuff done.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. We're very happy that a lot of projects that we have proposed over the past few years is now turning into from concept to construction. So next few years, we expect that we will be in construction for, I expect, at least for 5 years or so. So first, a couple items for our achievements. 143rd Street widening, the phase 2 is in progress, and we're aggressively designing the west to southwest highway section, which we want to be in construction in early 26. That's what our target line is. Majority of the funding is secured for that, and the design from west to Wolf is still continuing. We're part of that. Our design fee includes that as so. The other good part is our negotiations with Cook County Forest Preserve District was complete. Hopefully, we will have our easements conveyed to us by the end of the year. That it was the commitment, and I'm still trusting that they will honor that. Raise Grant is a yearly event for us. We will be applying again next year as our 5th attempt to secure $25 million for our 143rd Street project. We definitely need that money to complete that Wolf Road to South, so Wolf Road to West Avenue section. That is a requirement. The construction of west to southwest is expected to start in early 26. 143rd and John Humphrey Drive intersection design is literally at 98, 99%. We're literally finishing right-of-way acquisitions. We needed 9. We are just left with 3 to secure that. Hopefully that will be done very shortly, and it will be led by IDA, and then we will reimburse them the expected local share that will come from the village. But the construction is expected to start early next year. Spur 2, one of our largest projects in the water, is in progress. Significant progress has been made. I would say all of the pipe that needed to be installed or buried in the ground has been done. And now we're actively working on the connections to the Spur 2 or the redundant system that's coming from Oakland and the intake structure, the north intake structure. Those two are actively proceed. The T connection should be completed by the end of this year, which will give us a very strong redundant water supply in case of any emergency or so. Utility need assessment, we finished the utility need assessment for majority of the large parcels that is left in the village. And now we have a very good understanding of what might be our future need for water, sewer, and stormwater. Historical project was completed this year. All of that you see along 151st is done. Parking and Traffic Advisory Committee is ongoing. It is a very active committee. We have a meeting coming up tomorrow where we expect 15, 16 residents showing up for some.
Everybody wants a stop sign on their corner.
That's true. Or they want a speed bump.
For anyone who wants a speed bump, don't waste your time asking for a speed bump. You'll never get it approved. Unless we don't have to plow, which last I checked, we do. We're not going to get you're not going to get a speed bump. And for those who want, who want stop signs, we do have a very thorough process. Very few of them are granted.
Correct.
Because we have a thorough process, and a lot of the places where people want them, it would actually make it less safe for pedestrians and your children, because if you do something unexpected in a place, like a mid-street stop sign, you are asking for an accident because the driver will not be expecting it, and a local resident, a local child will think that everyone stops there, and that's how you create accidents. So we look at all of that when we do it, and we have a lot of data to support the decisions that we make. So, but we will go through the process if you do apply. But speed bump, you're not going to get one. I can just tell you that right now.
That's true. We were very happy to assist Parks Department in the completion of the Schussler Park. That is a good, great development that is already out and in use. In-house reviews are in process for, engineering reviews are in progress. We still maintain our MWRD approved municipality status, and we're maintaining that. Just a quick summary of what we have secured in terms of grants. Over $24 million is secured for various projects that we have either in design or coming up in construction. And there are several $1 million worth of applications are already out there. We're waiting for those responses to come back. Some of the projects that we are looking for next in 2025 is a new roundabout at 153rd and Ravinia Avenue. That I expect late next year or early 26 timeline construction. I expect more early 26. $1.7 plus million is secured for that. 167th Street bike path should be coming up as well. We have over $1.5 million secured for that. 82nd Avenue and McGinnis Loop combined both, we have over $3 million secured for that. And we are going to be starting a new project as phase 1 to improve the 159th Street and 94th Avenue intersection. That is the most dangerous intersection in our village. And we will be starting a phase 1 to improve that intersection, replace the traffic signal, and other details. That is all I have. If you have any questions.
Couple of questions. Tinley Creek, where are we at with Tinley Creek as far as securing easements, and how many do we have left?
So we have left with 6. We understand one of them is getting ready to settle with us. And one more, we have not been able to contact, our attorneys have not been able to contact the owner. And based on what we understand, the judge would allow us to proceed, that we have done everything we can to connect with them. So we're really down to 4 properties that are really holding a multi-million-dollar project.
So, and there were 50, how many, 56?
52.
52. So 52 properties were being held up by 4 for a $8 million project, which basically solves their flooding issues and Tinley Creek's erosion issues, which is on their property. And all we're asking for is an easement to go in and fix it.
And we're just asking for easement. They will maintain the ownership of their portion.
Okay. Well, sooner we get that done, the better. But obviously, you have to go through the process. MYP, did we get an answer on the MYP from IDOT?
We did get in the MYP answer from IDOT. The majority of the dollars, which is close to over $50 million that they're showing, they're showing that as if the village is putting that money into it. So that is not the case. We were looking for, and these are IDOT roadways. 143rd, majority of that expense is 143rd Street, which is their roadway. But the way they're showing it is the money is coming from us.
Oh, yeah, geez, it's nice of IDOT to commit us to spending $50 million to fixing their road. That we've already spent how much of our money on? Probably 10 million?
Close to
of
10
the-
million,
Of the 70
yes.
to 80 million dollars, which we're willing to do to move them along. So actually, as we all know here, but for the public, the federal government has given us money. That's why Southwest Highway to West Avenue is getting done. The state still isn't doing anything. So, and it is a state road, so it's negligent on their part at this point, in my opinion. And in fact, they want to spend money to do a drainage project. One section of the road, they want to spend money to do a drainage project and a signal,
Okay.
when that drainage and that signal is part of doing that section of the project and widening it.
Correct.
It would cost half as much money to do the signal and the drainage as to do the whole thing and the signal and the drainage. But they would rather do the signal and the drainage and then spend double that to go back and do the road and redo the signal and redo the drainage, which makes 0 sense. So, yeah, at least that section they should be funding and getting done.
And we have offered a jurisdictional transfer on that,
Right.
and we're still waiting on that too.
Should be a no-brainer for them, really, because they're going to, they have the money programmed for projects that are basically redundant. So just move that to our program and finish it, at least that section. Okay, and when will the water turn on for that T connection? I know it'll be done, but when would we expect the water to actually turn on and us to have redundancy?
So, Mayor, you're talking about the Spur 2,
Yes.
right? The Spur 2 we will start getting sometime late '26.
Okay.
The redundant water supply from T connection will be immediately available. If we have an emergency, we will be able to use it immediately.
And I just want to thank you for all the grants that you've been able to secure prior to my arrival here. What, the 3 or 4 years before that, they've got a total of $2 million in grants. And so we've gotten, what, 90 million or something like that in grants since 2019, 2018?
No, Mayor, I think it's more like $40 million, and we have about another $40 or $45 million in queue.
Right. So
Yes.
we've gotten about that much.
Correct.
We haven't used it all yet, but we've
Correct.
gotten about that much, and half of that we've used. So that's fantastic. It's what has allowed us to do a lot of these capital programs. It's also why, when people wonder, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you borrowing for this? Well, one, we borrow really cheap, and two, we've got outside money coming in. So if we didn't take that money, we would end up paying double the amount later for this project, which makes no sense. So we're in good fiscal shape, so we should, we're in a position where a lot of municipalities aren't. And, it allows us to do these things and make smart long-term decisions and smart capital decisions long-term because of the fiscal position we're in. That's all I got. Anybody got any other questions for engineering?
So for the finance department, some highlights for 2024 is that we also received the GFOA Triple Crown Award for 2024 budget. So we consistently get that every year for, I think, a better part of 30 years now. We expect the completion of the 22 financials within the next couple weeks. We went live this year with the new Tyler Munis payroll and human resource management. We went live with our new payroll and timekeeping system on July 5th, 2024. So that was exciting. We had a successful water meter conversion project. We're only down to about 100 residents left that we need to get in and update their meters. And then we also began the beginning steps of implementing our new Tyler Munis module. So we're going, this is just another piece of the whole ERP system, just much like Steve is going through the EPL for the permits and licensing. So this is the utility billing part of it. And we're ahead of schedule from that original, when we planned on starting that. So we started at this. We're also saving money. We actually took that project management in-house. We have a team member of my staff is actually managing that whole project. So we don't hit the, so we're saving money by not paying the other consulting firm.
And based on how the consultants did the last conversion in finance, I think it's good to do it in-house.
And then, so goals for next year, we expect to get the Triple Crown Award again with the GFOA. We expect to be current with all financials. And then we want to standardize month-end processing, including monthly, quarterly, and annual, and come to improve internal processes, look for efficiencies, and basically process improvement. So,
Any questions for finance? So since we just went through the finance department, you mentioned the audits, I'll go ahead and bring this up publicly again, because this came up in our TIF meeting. We were asked this question. We've also addressed this issue on the board before. But there's a lot of information out there about our audit and how we're not getting revenues from the state. Just to be clear, Chris, all of our revenues are still coming from the state, correct?
that's correct.
Right. So that's just complete misinformation. So as I've said before, ignore the political stuff, and as we do on the board. The history of the audits are as follows, which I, again, said a couple of months ago as well when this was asked. So our 2021 auditor was very late with the audit. They were acquired by another firm. They basically stopped working on our audit. We spent a lot of time as a village staff spent a lot of time pounding them to get it done. They did not, and of course with an audit, they're working on it. It's hard to pull the plug on an auditor in the middle of an audit. So we just pushed them to get it done. They did not get it done until December of '23, which was very aggravating for the board. The board was not happy. Our village manager wasn't happy. So the day we received the audit, we canceled their contract for the following year audits. And then we went out for an RFP for a new auditing firm. So it takes roughly 90 days to go through the RFP process. Then you've got a contract. So we didn't get a contract with the new auditor until April. But it was critical for this board to make sure we're audited properly and by a quality firm that was not going to be late. As part of that RFP, we actually said we wanted the audit done in 4 months and 23 done by the end of the year, so we were caught up. Now, because of the ERP system data conversion, it's taken a little longer than 4 months, but still, we're basically going to be done, my understanding is first meeting in November?
Yes.
Still? So 6 months after they started, we're going to have the audit done, which is, for a first audit, I know the two CPAs here will say that that's pretty quick to get that done, because there's a lot of work they have to do when it's the first time they're doing an audit. Particularly after coming off of an ERP data conversion as well, because there's just, anybody who's done a home computer realizes things get lost, right? And so you just have to go through all that and clean all that up. So we're getting all of that taken care of, and it'll be done, ideally, it looks like the first meeting in November, it's gonna be done, but that's because we made it very clear to them that it needed to be done quickly. They've made it a priority, we've made it a priority, because we wanna make sure it's done. And the other thing we made clear to them is that it needs to be done right. We want to dig into everything, including something they're digging into that maybe other auditors haven't, which is the TIF Triangle Fund, and because there was money from the TIF Triangle Fund that was put into the general fund and handled within the general fund. So we've identified all of that and cleaned that out, so now we cleanly know how much money was sunk into the TIF Triangle Fund. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that
So-
will be included in the 22 audit.
And that'll be included in this audit. And then the 23 audit will happen a lot faster because they've been through it, they've cleaned everything up, and then it's 2023. And I know that some of the background work for 2023 is already done. So to be clear, it's something that the board has placed great emphasis on, which is why we fired our previous auditor. And another thing about our previous auditor, the working papers for 2022, they refused to give us unless we pay more money. We refused to pay them more money, knowing it might take a little longer to recreate because they didn't deserve to be paid for what they'd done. So, it's been a priority from the board since December of 2021. It was publicly discussed in December of 2021. It was publicly discussed when we approved the RFP and awarded it to Sikich. And then also it came up in the TIF meeting. So all that stuff has been out there in public for everyone to see. So just to be clear on all of that. And unlike what you're seeing, there have been no revenues being withheld or any of that stuff. That is just simply not happening. It's not true.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Village Board. As the close of 2024 rapidly approaches, HR has been steadfast in our support of all departments, employees, and leadership within the organization. From maintaining compliance, keeping up with perpetual recruitment demands, working diligently with our finance and IT friends to incorporate the implementation of multiple Tyler HRM modules, to being an effective resource in establishing essential opportunities of employee recognition, personal development plans, and building and maintaining positive relationships, we will remain ambitious in our goals for 2025. In 2025, we will continue the path of greater access and simplified processes. This includes rolling out Tyler recruitment with onboarding, benefit enrollment, and electronic personal performance evaluations. We are also excited to give employees the ability to easily reference their total compensation package to realize the full benefit of working for the Village of Orland Park. Our continued focus on total well-being, mentorship, and employee training opportunities will lead to effective and successful succession planning. Lastly, this department looks forward to continuing positive relationships with all levels of leadership and staff and promote Orland Park's values, culture, and mission as we work hand in hand to take on the challenges and triumphs with consistency throughout the organization together. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Trustee Compass.
I just want to thank you, Regina. There's so much we can't say on the board floor as far as what you and your department does on a day in, day out basis, but we see it and we're very grateful. I know in the last year, we had a lot of discussion around benefits and the increases that we were seeing. What are we seeing this year? I mean, I saw it in the numbers, but I think for the public to hear, it might be good just to talk through what we're seeing.
Yes. This year, we've been on target with our 2024 budget. We did have a renewal meeting with Horton last week, and we're looking at roughly an 8% increase, between 7 and 8% thus far. They did go back and forth with negotiations with Horton, with Blue Cross quite a bit, and they did go out to quote other benefits with United Healthcare and another company, Marentis. I'm not really familiar with them. Both of those companies declined to give us a quote. So Horton has been working with Blue Cross to try to get the cost down. And during our last meeting, we were quoted roughly 7 to 8% increase this year. And that was down from, I believe, Mike said the initial quote was around 14.5%.
I think last year we were at 17.1%.
Last year we were at 17, you are correct.
And another thing to note, in the HR budget, that where it increased was, but a bunch of our exam fees and drug testing fees have gone up pretty significantly. That's the one place where we've seen an increase, but that's the market.
Right, that's because the cost of drug screens, physical exams for new hires, seasonals, our DOT employees that are really important to have their DOT exams and keep up their reader certification cards. The cost of that went up with the providers.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman,
Trustee Maloney?
I think just to clarify, the 8% increase for this year, I think last year's was what, almost 18% of an increase that we had?
It was 17.6, if I remember exactly, yes.
So 8% seems to be just like, you know, cost of doing business and how the market's going today, so
Exactly.
good job on getting that down.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Board. In the environment that we work in, cybersecurity is a focus that we have to adhere to due to the constant attacks we have. So our cybersecurity threats, we have over 4,700 threats investigated monthly. These are direct attacks on our systems. 35,000 spam emails are filtered through our systems, with 75 emails that are blocked for a virus per week, and that's a per week number. Over 23,000 DNS blocks per month, just from our systems that we utilize to help keep us safe. To help keep us safe, we have to do constant hardware and security updates, firewall code upgrades, switch code upgrades, monthly server patches. These all take a significant amount of time and effort, along with scanning to make sure that we're providing the most up-to-date codes for these systems. For our 2024 highlights, we had some major deployments we rolled out M365 across the village, which included Microsoft Exchange to the cloud, deployed Office 365, Teams, SharePoint at a lower level, and OneDrive at a lower level. We're still doing some more deployments with M365. We've got deployed cloud backup for M365 and immutable storage, so that way it is offsite and locked into if we ever happen to have a cybersecurity incident, we have clean copies in immutable storage in the cloud. We deployed a Nessus scanner, which does all of our auditing of all of our devices to make sure that we have the most up-to-date codes on them. We replaced both our internal and external firewalls this past year. On the application side, we've done a lot of work with Tyler. We're still deploying. We get the time and attendance that was discussed earlier. We are going to be deploying the scheduling software in November, recruiting with HR we've been working with, along with benefits. We completed over 1,900 support tickets through September, and almost 5,000 phishing emails are sent to the users. Phishing test emails are sent to the staff to validate, to make sure people are following the phishing rules. If they do get caught clicking on a phishing email, they get sent to remedial training. And so we spend a lot of time training people to make sure that we don't compromise our environment. For 2025, capital, we don't have a whole lot of capital expenditures this year coming up. The primary capital expenditure is fiber to the PD training facility, even though we're going to be continuing to roll out Tyler cashiering, utilities billing, and permitting and licensing with the respective departments. In our general fund, our biggest expenses are managed detection and response, Tyler maintenance, GIS contracted services, along with some other minor things. The new thing on here is our Intune deployment that we're going to be rolling out this year. It is for consultants to help us get our Intune, Microsoft Intune, which is enhanced patching that we're going to be putting up. And then Cisco UC, the Unified Communications, we have a software upgrade of the phone system that needs to be conducted this year.
So this really isn't a question, but when I arrived here, IT department had just been stood up from finance about 6 months before, and my small little landscaping company had better systems than we had here. I remember talking with Frank, our then IT director, and said, Frank, how much and this was when we were looking to cut the budget in 18 because we were facing some issues. but not his. I asked him how much he could actually do in 1 year, and I think for 3 or 4 years, we gave IT everything they thought they could handle in 1 year because there was so much catch-up. Now we're caught up. I think we're best in class. You can see we only have $100,000 in capital that we're doing because of that, and it's made life so much better than what we had in 2017. So thank you for that. You know, I mean, obviously that's contributed, as you know, to the audit because the data conversion was from a system that was 20 years old and hadn't even been supported for many years. So that was a nightmare. So thanks for, you know, helping to get all that done and now managing it so we don't fall into that position again.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. First, I want to say thank you for your continued support throughout the years. It makes my job easier. But I do want to highlight the continued low crime rate here in Orland Park, and without the men and women of Orland Park, the police department, from all the way from our detention aides, CSOs, all the way up to the command staff, they are the backbone that allows us and to keep this crime rate, maintain this low crime rate here in Orland Park. Some of the highlights for 2024 is we continue to upgrade our public safety radio system and microwave network. We are in the final phases. We expect that to be done by the end of November, which will allow greater coverage throughout the village. It was a long, hard project, but we're getting towards the end. Once we get this water tower finished on Wolf Road, I think we'll be closing it out. So we're continuing to work with them on a daily basis. As you know, a new training facility, EOC backup dispatch, is ongoing, making a lot of progress. Drove by there today. The walls are up. They're constantly working out there, so they're doing a great job. Hopefully that'll be done in spring of 2025. Our Fusus Real-Time Crime Center, we continue to work. This is going to be a project that's never ending. It's allows the officers to view live cameras on any type of businesses in town that participate in this program. We were able to work out MOUs, IGAs with District 135, 230, Orland Square Mall. We're continuing to have conversations with the other school districts and and St. Mike's here in town to get them on board, along with the other businesses. So that's an ongoing project that we're going to continue to build throughout the years. We developed an autism awareness program this year in the village, and I think it was a huge success. We had many departments reaching out to us to find out what we did. We're going to continue to highlight that in 2025. And we completed our Glock upgrade with the officers a few months back. In 2025, some of the initiatives, so our largest, as you know, our largest is operating. We have a lot of operating budget, and our largest one is our body cameras. So our contract right now is currently through 2027. I've had conversations with Axon and to negotiate a new contract that'll get us through 2029 at the same prices that we're currently at, which will save us, if we would wait till 2029 to do it, we would end up spending another $500,000. So with this renegotiation, we'll save about $500,000. With that, we're upgrading the Taser 10s. The current Tasers we have are end of life. Taser doesn't make them anymore, so we're looking to upgrade the Taser 10, which wouldn't have any change to the budget. And we are reallocating one detention aide to a part-time crime analyst, which, just looking towards the future, it's a great asset tool that we could have, not only for the police department, but for the officers with the real-time crime center to pull stats. And that again won't have any effect on the operating budget. Or any questions?
Chief, great work as always. You guys have heard it plenty, but you guys do a great job, and the town is very appreciative of keeping us safe, as are all the other departments keeping us safe. It matters for our parks, it matters for public works, it helps everybody. So thank you for all that you guys do. And how's the range coming along?
I drove by earlier today. All the walls are up. They're out there every day working on it. So hopefully be under roof here shortly, and they can start working once the weather gets colder.
So Joel, somebody that's on top of the project and ahead, huh? Yes. Great. Make your life easier over the winter. Speaking of Joel,
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I don't have a highlight slide because I'd be here for a long time, and you guys don't want to be here all night. But I do,
I'll give you the highlights. Centennial Park West, Schuessler Park, road program, all of that, and also all of the rest of our parks. So fantastic work.
it really is, the first group is really our in-house staff too, who just handle day-to-day tickets and the daily operations. So I appreciate all the hard work that they do, the men and women in Public Works for that. Then our projects lead for all the project managers who are overseeing all those projects. Mayor, tremendous work by our staff. And I can't do it without the rest of the departments. So they all are helping me out with everything that I do. So I appreciate their support as well with Public Works projects. So what sorry, go back to that list real quick. The capital plan, we kind of highlighted that. It was the financial plan and the capital plan was put together in 2023. These are the projects in Public Works. There's a few in here that are recs as well. Sorry, you can touch on those. But these are the ones, we mentioned a couple that are completing in the spring. The neighborhood road program, again, next year for about $6 million. Orland Hills, we combined. We had a delay with MWRD, so we combined those projects together. Catalina, we're going to do phase 3. That one, we got to figure out the right timing because it may require federal approvals, so we may have to follow federal rules because we're trying to get some FEMA dollars to pay for some of it and some MWRD dollars. So when we award it, we'll have to figure that out. We have a meeting tomorrow. And then we have a bunch, 3 HVAC projects for 3 main buildings that are critical for the other departments. We're starting our Public Works site optimization project. And we have 2 pool projects that we're going to be doing. The outdoor one is in the fall, so it'll be kind of phased for fall work and winter work. And then we'll do that for 3 years in a row, fall work. And then Orland Health and Fitness, we have some pool repairs in there. So we'll do that during the summer for their operation wise. And then Schuessler is one of Ray's projects. John Humphrey ball field lighting, improve that with Musco lighting as our program, vehicle replacements. And then we have storm improvements in a couple of locations. And the last one was an add to our capital plan, which you guys talked about earlier. That's just to do a mezzanine expansion at the police station for evidence.
and just so everyone knows that Joel came up with that idea for the mezzanine expansion as opposed to using some other facility because we're running out of storage. So that was a good idea. It saved us a bunch of money. Also, so Dugan Park is going to be done next year, complete? The plan is to be complete next year?
It has to be completed by March of 31st by 2026.
It's got to be completed by March of 26?
Correct.
Right, so for the following year. Got it. And Schuessler Park, it's the all-inclusive is going in next year?
That's correct.
Okay, I realize that you may talk about that at rec as well. Also, while we're on the HVAC improvements in the Village Hall, and we're sitting up here sweating, is this going to solve some of these issues, we hope?
Yes.
The freezing and heat, okay. So, great.
Next slide, please. So looking at our divisions, from our streets, we have a couple other, in our operating budget, we actually reduced it overall, about 4% in our streets. That is also because we're kind of doing a little bit less of those projects as we tailor down on some of the workload of smaller projects as well. And so, but we do still have the sidewalk repair program going on. We should be finished east of LaGrange this year. And then we'll be working on west of LaGrange next year. And we've done a little bit in the southern region, so it'll be a little bit smaller anyways for next year. And then we have parking lots and paths program that we do annually to improve paths and some parking lot locations.
So the people who live east of LaGrange who always tell us we never do anything over there, Catalina, Orland Hills, all the sidewalks, Laguna Woods,
Right? We're trying to
Fernway, Fairway,
reduce all those, yeah. triple
Fernway,
axles.
Fairway, Schuessler Park. I think we do a little bit of work over there too.
Right, and we've done so much, road improvement program does the sidewalks as well, so between both the sidewalk program and the road program, we're trying to address all those issues with the sidewalks.
Great.
Within utilities, we're dropping that as well from our operating costs, but we still are doing replacing the valves and hydrants and exercising those, infiltration and inflow for sewer program, and then pond maintenance. So those are continuing in the utilities. Transportation, we did reduce that a little bit as well overall, but we are continuing to maintain our fleet and also do the PACE program. Next slide, please. In facilities, that increased a little bit, and that's pretty much because we've had a lot of, we demoed a building, we added a building, so we have, every time you have a building, you have all kinds of systems you have to do. You have to inspect the fire system, the backflow is, you have cleaning, you have mowing, and you have all those services, so that's why it's a little bit higher. In there, though, we are doing 5 playgrounds listed and 2 pavilions. And we're doing a couple other small projects throughout the different buildings, and we just listed those. All right, next slide. I'll take any questions.
Anybody with questions for Joel? So Joel, I want to reiterate, thank you guys for all that you do. We've beat to death the water issue. You guys did a great job with that. Done a great job keeping, our street program, our sewer program, our water main, all of that we've invested so much capital. You guys have to run those projects. And, hopefully, as you said, some of that cost is coming down and it's coming off because that was the goal, is to get us to a better steady state. But you guys have to manage all that. So thank you guys for all your work in snow plowing as well. I know you don't usually get a whole lot of calls thanking you for snow plowing, so I'm going to thank you now in advance because you guys do a great job. So good job by everyone.
Good evening, Mayor and board members. It is my pleasure to present 24-25 highlights of the Recreation and Parks Department. You'll be glad to know that I reduced my slides from 16 to 3. Thanks for suggesting that, Jim.
Thank you.
It was a very busy year for Recreation and Parks, and we enjoy what we do a lot and had a lot of fun with the full goal of enhancing the lives of our residents. That's always in the forefront of our minds. I would like to thank the staff of the Recreation and Parks Department. It is because of them and their dedicated work that we're successful in everything that we do. They rise above and beyond with everything, especially with our special events. I would also like to thank Joel and Khurshid. They were key in helping the Recreation Parks Department introduced Centennial Park West and Schuessler Park this past year. We would not have been successful without both of them supporting us. You see from Joel's list, he supports us in a lot of different ways in a lot of projects. So thank you to Public Works and Joel. I would also like to thank the board for your wonderful support. The board is present at everything we do and supports everything we do, and we sincerely appreciate that. In 2024, the Parks Master Plan came to life. So the board approved that plan a few years back. And in 2024, it actually became live. Centennial Park West was envisioned back in 2008, 11, 3, thank you, Mayor. In 2003, and on June 8th of 2024, it came to life with Gary LeVox of Rascal Flats. All our events moved, the majority of our events, our large-scale events moved to Centennial Park West, and we experienced some of the largest crowds we've ever had before. I've been in here with the village for a very long time. I've never seen as large a crowds at Centennial Park West for the Taste or for the 4th of July. The Centennial Park West concert series was a magnificent success, serving the purpose of why that venue was envisioned years and years ago. In 2025, we look forward to enhancing the experience of Centennial Park West with more concerts and national artists. We look to introduce the drone show again, or reintroduce the drone show and fireworks at the Taste. We're beginning to envision a new fall event, maybe barbecue, maybe Oktoberfest. We're looking forward to possibly doing or hosting some holiday events in Centennial Park West. The video screens that will improve the sight lines for those that attend events at Centennial West which will also have expanded seating and bottle fillers. So we ask residents or participants to empty their bottles to make sure they're safe. They'll be able to refill those bottles next year. Also in 2024, we opened and introduced the Michael Schofield III Sports Complex on June 1st. That facility has been a magnificent success, and in fact, tonight is hosting Pioneer Football Super Bowl games. The complex includes 2 turf fields, expanded parking, Musco lights, bleachers, a coach's box, enhanced landscaping, a storage garage, the pond was cleaned and dredged, improving the fishing and the ecological environment. And a new sledding hill was built on the backside, I guess that would be the northwest side. That sledding hill will be used this year. We've been out there a couple times to look at that hill. It's got some great sides. The kids are going to love that sledding hill. Because of the work in 2024 and the frugalness of our staff, the restroom and storage building, which was supposed to be a part of Phase 2, was advanced into Phase 1 and will be accomplished here in 2024. In 2024, we hosted over 5,000 field rentals on our athletic fields, generated over $300,000 in revenue, which included non-resident fees of $28,000. The Michael Schofield complex itself hosted over 300, almost 400 rentals since it opened in June, has earned $38,000, and you can see how that is broken down there. So great success out there. In 2024, we finished the backstops at Centennial Park West, so those new backstops match the ones at John Humphrey, enhancing the play for our players or for those that use the field. We've begun to undergo the transformation of the backstops for fields 6 through 9. Last year, in 2024, we began to rest fields. So we took fields offline to let those fields reinvigorate, and we're going to continue that practice into 2025 so we produce quality fields for our users. FLC was renovated along with Civic Center to become our recreation campus, which has been a great success. Both those facilities have seen enhanced use, increased use, and have been a terrific success. Permanus Park Tennis Courts is nearly finished. We're renovating 2 tennis courts in Permanus. In 2025...
Ray, real quick, the resting of those soccer fields, a lot of the reason we can do that is because we have Schofield online, correct?
That allows us to do it. We weren't able to do that because Schofield was not available in the past, correct? That allows us to do it in the future because of Schofield. In 2025, we look forward to the Phase 2 renovation of Sushla Park going underway. This will include the all-inclusive playground. We have applied for a grant to support that playground. It also will include a half basketball court, a pavilion, seating areas, and landscape improvements. The renovation of Dugan Park will kick off in early 2025. That includes 10 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, a sledding hill, expanded parking, a full-size soccer field, baseball field, playground, half basketball court, and a pavilion. So it'll be another great park complex for our residents. The new athletic storage facility.
The pickleball courts are going to be lit, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's part of the project, right?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
The new athletic facility that Joel is building for us will come online. We're looking forward to moving into that and moving everything under a roof. And then we'll continue to rest our natural grass fields. We'll choose 1 or 2 fields next year so we can rest those again and renovate those fields. And then we're looking forward to potentially beginning renovation of some Centennial dugouts and the wall structures. Those are in bad disarray. And so we're looking forward. We're getting estimates now to begin that work in early 2025. Some additional highlights for our departments. You can see statistically measured here. I'll try to be brief here, but I wanted to highlight our recreation programs, which show a net revenue of over $400,000. So those programs produce a lot of strength, and that's anything from dance to theater to personal training to all the different cultural arts classes that we produce. All those classes run in a positive fashion. Sportsplex has over 3,000 members and is projected to have a net revenue this year over $500,000 and next year over $400,000. And that's a conservative estimate, and we hope to do better than that. Special Recreation has served over 3,000 participants and registrations. Over 2,000 of those are residents, and that's an 83% increase over 2023. So that staff continues to do a great job. The Orland Park Health and Fitness Center, while a costly facility, continues to perform well with over 4,000 members, projected to generate over $280,000 in revenue this year and $300,000 in 2025. The Centennial Park Aquatic Center achieved 2 5-star audits out of the 3 audits. had over 2,000 members and our memberships and 6,300 members. We enjoyed an attendance of over 77,000 last year, which was an increase of 1.54% over 2023. The Civic Center, which became part of our recreation campus, experienced a 311% increase over 2023 with internal users, showing how it's used more internally for recreation uses as it was intended. The heritage sites, Bowley Farm, Humphrey House, the Hostard Cabins, Chipetti Slaughterhouse have all undergone modest improvements. We look forward to making continued improvements in those facilities as we move forward.
Any questions? Thanks, Ray. Your department does a great job. You know, we see a lot of silly stuff out there. Oh, we spent money on this, we spent money on that. Well, guess what? Recreation is about bringing things to the residents, so that you're not just paying taxes, that you're actually getting something back. You know, yes, you get something back from Public Works when they fix a road, but it's not all that tangible, right? Police keeps us safe, so you're getting something back, but it's not all that tangible. Recreation is tangible, something you can go do, have fun. That's why we do it. The board set a policy years ago, well before us, that we basically subsidized the rec events by about 52%. So as you see the net revenue of some of those locations, that's used to pay for some of the other things that we have as well. So, you know, so that's very important, that it's a very important part. You get to bring the fun to the people, but I know it's a lot of hard work, particularly in the summer. So we really appreciate it, and we do appreciate all the staff that pitches in to help and volunteers or, you know, puts in extra time, works, you know, police, development services, even with you know, the inspections and all that kind of stuff. So thank you for all of that, and you know, all the departments that pitch in to make that happen. You know, comms helps with all the stuff that they do in advertising, and HR finding part-time lifeguards and bringing them on, and summer help every year, which is a big crunch for all of you. And of course, we can't do it without finance. We can't do it without the IT support as well to make sure all that stuff happens. So thanks to everybody for that.
Last, we have the village manager's office. So I will keep this brief. We are similar to the budget, you know, which is a very team effort. The village manager's office does what it can to facilitate the coordination of departments and external entities and developers. So one of the highlights was the work that was done related to downtown Orland Park development, which you've recently approved. We've also taken steps to ensure we are prepared for emergency situations, and we're trying to manage the risk to our residents and to our employees. The Live Well employee wellness efforts, this is a peer kind of driven effort of many different departments or individuals within these departments. A few of them are within the village manager's office, but what this group has volunteered to do is to provide programming and opportunities for one another. One of those efforts is Recognize a Star program this year, in which peers recognize peers for their hard work, and other efforts have included employee appreciation and engagement opportunities. We had a good tour recently of our water facilities as an example. And there's also been some charitable causes that we contribute to, so such as donating blood and also food drives that we typically do. So ongoing efforts is going to be some of the things that we talked about, which is risk management, and the organization-wide accreditation is still something that we're trying to push forward. Lastly, there is some supervisor-related training and resources that we have begun work on, and we hope to roll out here soon to help not only existing supervisors, but also people who are new supervisors or people who are new to the organization, to kind of help them transition into that important role. And with that, I will open it up to any questions about the VMO or the departments, or any of the departments in the village.
So this is it?
This is it.
Okay. So I guess, you know, most of the stuff that I have are very small. We've been through the line by line stuff, and so it's very, very small. So it's not really pertinent for tonight. The one thing that is pertinent for tonight, Chris, is I know that you're forecasting revenues conservatively. I would say possibly too conservatively, because it might be putting us in a corner where we have to make some hard decisions. And I know this is the first pass at the budget, and we don't have to make those decisions tonight. So I think we need to look at that. I've already talked to Jim about it, but I think kind of a 2019 through 2024 budgeted revenue, actual revenue, and revenue year-to-date, because I know you want it 2024, just so we can see trend lines, because I think flat is probably a little too conservative, and doesn't seem like much, but, you know, flat versus $1 million increase, it's $1 million in cuts we have to make, and that, and when 70% of your budget is personnel, your operating budget, those are tough, right? So let's make sure that we're getting that. That's probably the big picture thing that I have for you to look at. Anybody else with anything?
Mr. Mayor.
Trustee Compass.
So I'd just like to thank Chris and really all the department heads this time around. I know we did a lot to overhaul this process in terms of, you know, how it gets recorded, how it gets to us. I think I can only speak for myself up here, but it's a testament that we don't have as many questions as we've had in the past. And I think that's due to, you know, a lot of things, a lot of good things that we've put in place, right? The capital 5-year strategic plan, the improvements that we've made to this process, the transparency and the communication. And this workshop is an excellent meeting for the public to understand what's going to go on in the following year and in the years to come. And so I'd just like to thank you all. The fact that I didn't have a ton of questions today is a testament to how much more smoothly this went this year. And I appreciate all the hard work and effort that you put into this.
Any other comments? So I'll echo that. It's been my first couple years here were really brutal because we were, I had no idea the fiscal mess that we inherited. We cleaned a lot of that up the first 3-4 years. And the last couple years have been not as bad as those first couple, but they've been bad. Some of it's self-inflicted. And I want to thank you, Chris. This is your first time through it, and much cleaner job. And much less that we needed to do to get things right before this first presentation. So appreciate that a lot, and you and your whole staff, obviously, for all the work that they've done. And you're doing it in conjunction with an audit, so I know you guys are really crunched and you know, putting in some new systems in the ERP. All that at the same time is a lot. It just so happens budget falls right now. So so thank you for all that work that you did. Next.
Any non-scheduled citizens and visitors for public comment on other items relative to village business?
So anybody here to speak? No, there's no one here to speak again. So this is for the public. Just pointing out that for those people that want to constantly attack the village and constantly attack our finances and everything, they could have been here tonight and asked questions on the record, and they didn't. So that speaks volumes, and it's everything you need to know about whether those people are actually seriously interested in the village's finances or are interested in making political statements and trying to embarrass the village, which for people who live here, I don't know why you would ever want to do that. And so I suggest that everyone drive around Orland Park. Just drive around our roads, drive around and look at our parks. Get out of your neighborhood, go to all the neighborhoods and see how wonderful it looks. It's how well maintained it is. You know, things as simple as we're doing the last water tower, which I can see that the base coat is already done on it. So, I mean, all of these things don't seem like a lot, but it was a lot. It was a lot of capital improvements that we had to do to play catch up on this. And we really set ourselves up for long-term, steady financial success because of that. So thank you all for all that hard work. And I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Compass.
I move to go into executive session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performances, or dismissal of specific village employees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Trustee Campos?
Aye.
Trustee Katsinas?
Aye.
Trustee Healy?
Aye.
Trustee Milani?
Aye.
Trustee Radiszewski?
Aye.
Mayor Pico?
Aye. We'll go to executive session. And